Alright, I had somebody ask me if I could make a video about bleeding the brakes, so I'm gonna do that. Just went to the hardware store and got this. It's like a big syringe. So what I'm gonna do is suck a lot of the old fluid out of there and fill it with some fresh fluid and bleed it through. Want to use .4. Even says on the cap here .4, so make sure you're using the right fluid. I know stuff's expensive, but you know, you want your brakes to work on your motorcycle, so just spend the money and get it. So let's we'll get into this. Alright, so you have two separate systems. You got your front brakes and your rear brakes. So we got cylinder back here for the rear, and then up front for the two front calipers. So you got a total of 3 calipers you got to bleed out, 2 on the front and 1 on the back. So I've got the new fluid. I've got this syringe to suck some of the old fluid out. Just gonna squirt that into a cup and then dump that in a pan later. Some penetrant oil. I've got a hammer. You want a nice metal head to transfer shock through. Don't use like a rubber mallet or something like that. So I've got a 8mm ratchet, 1/4 inch, and the 8mm end wrench. I'm going to use this to break the bleeder loose, and then I'm going to use the end wrench for the bleeding part. And then I got the hose I'm going to use, and there's a cup around here somewhere. So first thing you want to do is use that penetrant oil and get it on the bleeder. So on the back, that's the bleeder. And you know, you might want to plan ahead and like maybe a week before doing this, just squirt a little penetrating oil onto the threads. You know, just put a little on there every day for like a week, let it soak in. So what I'm going to do is spray the penetrant on there, and then I'm just going to tap on the top with that metal hammerhead. And what that's going to do is transfer some shock through here and loosen up the threads. And I'm going to use, make sure you have a 6-point socket. Do not use a 12-point because you're just going to strip everything. So anytime you're doing brakes, you want to break that bleeder loose with a 6-point socket first. It's going to save you a lot of headaches. And then you got the wrench to actually do the bleeding. So I'm going to spray all the bleeders down. Alright, so now that there's some penetrating oil soaking into the threads, I'm just going to lightly tap on it with a hammer. So now I'm going to switch to using the socket. Anytime I'm breaking a bleeder loose, I'll actually try tightening it first. Then switch to loosening. Okay, so once you get it loose, just snug it back up. Don't go crazy, just get it snug. So now that bleeder's ready. We're going to do the front ones now. Alright, so same thing on the front side. tightening it. And then loosen it. Just get it broken loose, just snug it up again. So I'm going to do that on the other side and we're ready. And so next step, we're going to do the back first. Just got to get the cylinder out. It's got a little Phillips head holding it in there. So now we have access to take the cap off. Alright, so we're going to try to get a majority of the fluid out. You don't want to completely empty it. Tough. Alright, so we ended up just getting all the fluid out. There was some doo-doo sauce in there. So got that all wiped out. It's looking pretty good. The brake fluid is very hygroscopic, which means it will absorb moisture. So I would definitely suggest not doing this on a humid day. And once you're done with this brake fluid, it's garbage. Once brake fluid's been opened and it's been exposed to the atmosphere, it starts absorbing water. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. So what I'm going to do is fill this up. The other thing you gotta remember is brake fluid will destroy paint. So have plenty of towels around. If you get it on a painted surface, get it off of there as quickly as possible. So now we've got fresh fluid in there and ready to start bleeding. So basically what's gonna happen is I'm gonna pump this lever 3 or 4 times. I like to do this with 2 people. I'll say pump. The person who's helping me is going to pump this 3 times. They're going to, on the last pump, they're going to hold pressure. And they're going to say to me, holding. That's going to be my cue to crack that bleeder open. So once that bleeder opens, this lever is going to go down further. Once it bottoms out, they're going to say down, and they're going to keep holding it down. Whoever's pumping has to keep pressure on it. So then the person on the bleeder is going to shut that bleeder, and they'll say okay. So when you shut the bleeder and say okay, the person pumping can release this. So what you're doing is you're pumping the fluid in, you're holding it under pressure. The person who's cracking that bleeder open is going to force the fluid and the air out of the system. So the whole purpose is to flush the fluid through and get rid of all the air that might be in there, so you just have a solid stream of fluid. So we're going to get into doing that next. So like I said before, I'm going to use that end wrench. I got a little cup I'm going to fill up with some brake fluid, and I'll show you that next. Alright, so I got the bleeder hose on there. I got my end wrench. I got my little bleeder cup with some brake fluid in there. You want to submerge the open end of the hose in the brake fluid so that it doesn't have contact to air. So Now you're ready to start bleeding. Alright, pump.
Down.
Alright. Pump.
Hold it. Down.
Pump.
Hold it. Down.
Pump.
Down. Hold it. Down.
Pump. Yeah, there's probably a big air pocket in there.
Hold it. Down.
Pump.
Hold it. Down.
Pump. You don't have to push that hard.
Hold it. Down.
Pump.
Hold it.
So when he says holding, I crack it open.
Yeah.
He says down and I shut it. Alright, go ahead, pump.
Holding. Down.
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 Pump.
Holding.
Pump. So as we're going through this, the fluid's starting to change color. It's getting clearer.
Holding. Down.
Pump.
Holding. Down.
Pump.
Holding. Down.
Pump. So we got nice clean fluid coming through now.
Holding.
So the last one I'm going to do, I'm just going to crack it real quick and shut it. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. How's that feel? It's right there. Okay, so you should notice just by pumping the lever that it should feel fairly firm. So I think we're good here. If you don't like the way it feels, or you're still getting a poopy color fluid coming through, you can just keep bleeding. The other thing you have to keep an eye out for, keep an eye on that fluid level in the reservoir, because if you pump the fluid out of there, you're going to bring a bunch of air in again. You're going to have to start all over. So always make sure you got fluid in that reservoir. So try to get this. I mean, that stuff's nasty. Very gross. So now we got fresh fluid in there, and that brake pedal is going to be nice and firm. The other thing too, going back to how hydroscopic brake fluid is, you know, if you get moisture in that brake fluid, it has a much lower boiling point than the fluid does, so that's going to cause brake fade too. It's just going to boil that fluid out. So, I mean, you should probably bleed your brakes like the beginning of every season, and if you ride really hard, you might even want to do it halfway through the season. You know, if the brake doesn't feel like it's where it should be, just go ahead and bleed them out. So let's move over to the front now. And before we move up to the front, we're just going to top the fluid level off. I'll take that little...
Yeah. Point it right to that lower line.
Yeah, probably a little above it. Yeah, go above, a little more. Keep going. Just a tad more. Alright, that's good. So we got the fluid topped off. That cap tightened up, and then I'll put that mounting screw back in, get it back in its home there. Alright, so moving to the front, you got that little clamp on there you gotta take off.
Thing's really loose.
I don't think I've bled on them for a while. I need to take my own advice and do it every year. Alright, so same thing on the front. We're going to suck the fluid out of there. That's a little cleaner. Look at that. Extra poopy. Look at that. Wow. Nasty. Oh, I want breakfast. It's going on sideways. There you go. Alright, so we got the fresh fluid in there. I like to do the left side of the bike, or driver's side, whatever you want to call it. Should be right and left are always in reference from the driver's seat, or in this case rider's seat. So I'm going to start on that left side caliper, and pretty much the same thing. Have your assistant pump that handbrake and correct that bleeder valve. So let me move the camera, we'll get going. Alright, so always make sure this is tight when you screw it back on, just to try to keep the moisture out of there. It's probably not that big of a deal, but still do it anyways. So ready to do this side now. I like doing this side because I think this side hose is a little bit longer, so you want to do the longer hose first. They're probably pretty close in length, but I'm just going to start on this side. So push the hose on there, get it submerged, get the wrench where you can crack this bleeder. And let's see. Alright, pump.
Holding.
Alright, that's a little tight.
Can I let this go or?
Yeah. Yeah, you got it off?
Yeah. Made it a little too
Yeah,
tight.
yes I did. So I need to turn down the beast mode. Alright, go ahead and pump.
Holding. Down.
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 Alright, so that last one, when I feel like it's pretty much bled out, that last one I'll just kind of crack it and snug it. Just give it a quick jolt. So we had nice clean fluid coming through there. So now we're ready to move over to the other side. Got enough fluid in there?
No.
You want to put more in or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little low. You want to go on the other side so I can get this. All right, pump.
Holding.
Snug this one up too much too. butt off. All right, pump.
Holding.
Pump.
Holding.
What's wrong with this thing?
So let it go.
No. Okay. Yeah, you can let go.
Hold off.
All right, pump.
Holding. Down.
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 Pump.
Holding.
Pump.
Holding. Down.
Pump.
Holding. Down.
Pump. All right, so this last one, I'm just gonna crack it. All right. All right, you can let off. How's that feel?
Shit, like a rock.
Right there. Nice. All right, that's pretty much it. Put the dust caps back on. Looks like the fluid level's actually, it's actually pretty good. Might just leave it there. So the other thing to keep in mind when doing this, you know, you get done bleeding your brakes and, you know, make sure it feels okay. And then your first ride out after bleeding it, you know, take it easy. Make sure everything's up to snuff before you go hammering this thing. So, okay, got the cap on, fluid's full. Just have to put the dust caps back on the bleeders and good to go. And don't forget to throw out your brake fluid because now it's junk. And just to show you what came out of there, pretty nasty. And, you know, that goes for cars too. I mean, you pop the hood on your car and you see your master cylinder's got a bunch of brown goop in there. Should probably be doing a little flush and bleed on that. Alright, and the last step, get your little clamp back on there. Actually put a little more fluid in there, topped up a little more. So, should be good to go now.